As one of the original U.S. Transition Town trainers and a PDC instructor, this award just thrills me to my core. It's the Transition Ally Award. It honors an individual, project, organization, or movement that has significantly contributed or supported community resilience, building efforts in the USA. I can hear a lot of talking behind me. I'm hoping you can hear me. Appropriately, our winner celebrates the heart and soul of transition, the permaculture movement. So what is permaculture? A lot of you know, and some might not. Perhaps the simplest description is a design methodology that can be applied to anything that works with nature. So if we think about that for a moment, a design methodology that works with the complex, interdependent, ever-changing whole systems that we call nature. The significance of that is really huge. Instead of coming from a place of domination and control, permaculture design seeks to design everything in a way that honors and encourages a balanced, thriving life on this planet. And inspired by permaculture, the transition movement seeks to do the same. But how do you award a movement? Well, our search for an individual who epitomizes that movement led us to David Holmgren, one of the co-originators of the modern permaculture concept, along with Bill Mollison. Thank you, David Holmgren, for receiving this award. Excuse my dog, touch. For receiving this award on behalf of the permaculture movement. Also nominated was the Fellowship for Intentional Community, an organization that we love and with whom we've collaborated regularly. Finally, I'll let David's own words reflect who we choose to be in this auspicious moment of human history. Let us act as if we are part of nature's striving for the next evolutionary way to creatively respond to the recurring cycles of energy ascent and descent that characterizes human history and the more ancient history of Gaia, the living planet. Imagine that our descendants and our ancestors are watching us. So with great joy, we bring you David Holmgren.
Thank you. And it is a great honour to be able to be joining this conference to just receive this award on behalf of the permaculture movement, which is now 40 years old after the publication of Permaculture 1 in 1978 and the tireless efforts in the following decade of Bill Mollison to spread those ideas and turn permaculture into a movement. Of course, permaculture is incredibly diverse as a concept in its applications and its expressions around the world. And even within the US, and what I know of permaculture, there's a huge diversity there. Of course, I have a continuing small part in that and do my bit at a local level, but also trying to deepen that framework. And of course, that connection to transition is very strong. And I think it feels a little bit to me, without being paternalistic about that, of being to some extent the parent movement. It was for several years, Rob Hopkins, as a permaculture teacher in Ireland, was pestering me to come to Ireland following the publication of my book, Permaculture Principles and Pathways Beyond Sustainability. And I did that as part of a 6-month teaching and study tour and came to a conference and met, amongst other people, Richard Heinberg. And that conference in Little Kinsale in Ireland was really, I suppose, the conception point for transition, which of course took off when Rob moved to Totnes and all of that change began. So although transition, of course, has incredibly diverse sources itself, including people who are not at all familiar with permaculture. It is true that it was like an offshoot or a child of the permaculture movement. And I think in the same way that parents see children grow up and become their own thing and have power, even power and expression exceeding that of the previous generation, that transition has had that expression, and also the development where parents need to have adult relationships to their offspring. So, and to recognise challenges and new ideas and things that we didn't think of. Of course, to say that might be being paternalistic is is perhaps obvious. Transition has also been a huge feedback into permaculture in strengthening what permaculture activists call the people side of permaculture, the care of people alongside the care of earth. And I think there's a huge rise of interest and expression in how we work at that scale, not just with the land, but with each other. There's also, I think, a learning in that a lot of permaculture design, especially in the early decades, was about what developers call, green slate, green fields site design, starting from scratch. But in fact, everywhere has a history. We carry our baggage with us. And so transition in working with people where they are, in communities where they are, is dealing with those existing realities. And so those influences have come back in my latest work in retro suburbia about retrofitting the built, the biological and the behavioural fields of the household economy. And so it is also drawing on that. And it's interesting that I am in Geelong here in Victoria, some distance from our own home, giving a presentation yesterday to 80 people in Transition South Barwon, an incredible local group that's doing things in one of our larger regional cities. And there's further meetings in that happening today. So this connection between permaculture and transition is very intimate in this country as well. So thank you for the award, and congratulations for all the work I see and hear about transition in the United States.
Thank you.